How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Twilight Zone Issue number 1. This is a new run of comics put out by IDW, who's made Twilight Zone comics in the past, and it's cool to see them bring the book back. This is put out under their new IDW Dark line. I love to see imprints for dark and scary books, and hey, using that to bring the Twilight Zone book back, that's really cool. Anyway though, I'm a big fan of horror comics, I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone, so when I saw this thing on the shelf, I snatched it up really quick, and overall I did have a good bit of fun with this book. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't the biggest, most jaw-dropping Twilight Zone twist ever. It didn't blow me away or anything, but it's a book that I had a good time with. It's in black and white. We get a Rod Serling host, even though they frame it where you don't see his face. And it does lead to a really good Twilight Zone feeling visual. When you get there, you're gonna be like, oh, that's the one where they do that. That was a really fun issue. It is kind of tropey, but that may have been on purpose since this is an issue 1. But the idea with this one is you get an old man who's dying, but he's really, really rich, and he's looking for a way to cheat death. He hears about this secret island that has a special rejuvenation clinic on it, and decides to invest in them and say, hey, look for a way to help me out of this. And of course, his time starts to run out, the thing isn't 100% ready yet, but let's be a guinea pig, and what's the worst that could happen? I'm dying anyway. And I liked to get to know this guy as a character. He's not as one-dimensional as rich old anthology horror guys usually are. They actually talk about how much he loves life, and he gets this bit of musing where he talks about how much there is to do and see and how all the people are so different. And it makes him a lot more well-rounded than you'd expect. We get to find out how this thing they're doing to him actually works, and when the shoe drops, we again get a really cool visual, but we also get to think about the ramifications on a larger scale. And the base of this story, the rich old man trying to cheat death, yeah, that's a classic anthology horror setup, and again, it doesn't absolutely blow me away or anything, but there's a bit more meat on the bones this time around than a lot of anthology horror comics, and that extra little bit of work behind it definitely did pay off. So overall, it is one that I liked. And in this run, it's a 5-issue miniseries, we got 4 more left. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with the rest of their issues, and if they're all up to this level, I'll definitely be happy with it. Anyway though, if you guys want to see a little bit more of the story, I'll show you guys some of the art and we'll take a look at a few scenes, but no major spoilers, I'll be avoiding the end. But if you want to see a little more, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera and take a bit of a deeper dive. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at the Twilight Zone issue number 1. And right off the bat, I do have to say I did pick up the D cover for this. Of course, being in issue number 1, there's lots of different covers to choose from, but this one with all the elements from the classic Twilight Zone intro, I couldn't turn that one down. I always loved the little mannequin floating through space, and now he's being pulled into the door as the big eyeball watches him. We can see at the top the IDW Dark logo, and number 1, $4.99 US, and here's the barcode, cover D. If we flip to the back of the book, we get this ad for Return to Sleepy Hollow, based on the Tim Burton movie. And if we look in the back, there's also an ad for a new 30 Days of Night book. That should be pretty fun. Here's a sneak peek at next issue's cover, and there's all the variant covers for this book. We can see that we have 5 of them there. Cover B is Francesco Francavilla. I really do love that one. And then we get 3 more down there. All pretty fun covers. Maybe I'll grab a few more. But on the very back page, we do get an ad for the whole series, and this shows us that it's going to be 5 issues long. Flipping it to the front, we get to see the classic intro, and we find out that this story is called Blanks, written by Dan Waters, with art by Morgan Beem. inspired by the original CBS television series. And then after that, we get into the story proper. Now, I'm going to show you guys some of the story and the art, and we'll take a look at a few scenes. I won't do any major spoilers, but I do want to break down and analyze a bit of it. So without further ado, let's dive in. We open up with a helicopter taking this guy to an island resort, and there's speech bubbles as someone introduces us to his character. We get to see a man looking down at the beach, however he's facing away from us, so we don't get to see Rod Serling's face, but it's clear that it's supposed to be him. I'm betting it's some sort of rights issue. We get off the helicopter and we find out that our main character is a billionaire who has invested heavily into this island. It's a super secret island, it's a health and rejuvenation clinic, and it's all very big, very 5 stars. But that's not why he's here. He's invested into their secret laboratory, and they've come up with this special solution. Apparently, there's diseases that make cells regress, kind of a cellular amnesia where they forget everything that happened to them before. And apparently they found a way to use that to kind of trigger a body reset. Put this disease in you and it will like reset all your cells back to when you were younger. At least that's the theory anyway. They haven't tried it out yet, but they're going to have to try it out pretty soon as this guy is dying. He says, "What's the worst that could happen? I'm dying anyway. Go ahead and use me as a guinea pig." We get some fun moments as they're preparing him for the procedure. I love when he talks about all the stuff in life that all the different people get to experience and how there's so many different things you can do with life. And as he's going under, he says, "Yeah, my son's a doctor and I can't wait to tell him that he wasted all this time studying because soon humans will be immortal. But don't worry, he has the rest of eternity to figure out what to do instead." Well, naturally, he wakes up a little while later and sees that he's young again, and he's super excited. He runs out of the room, but he realizes the hospital is strangely empty. There's a nurse up ahead, but she's non-responsive to him, and of course, when he makes contact with her, something creepy is going to happen. Right off the bat, we're dealing with several classic horror concepts, and the idea of waking up in a hospital not knowing what's going on and everything being kinda deserted, that's really cool, a lot like the beginning of The Walking Dead. Now, what this nurse looks like, I wasn't going to show it to you, but then I realized looking at some of the covers, and I also realized just how early in the book it happens, that maybe it's not a super big spoiler. So I'll say this, if you don't want to know what the nurse looks like, feel free to pause the video here, but if you're okay with that, I'm going to go ahead and flip the page. Alright, last warning, 3, 2, 1. When he turns the nurse around, it turns out she's got a blank face. I really do like this design. It makes her feel like the Twilight Zone mannequins from the intro, and I kind of feel like we're giving the classic opening like a bit of a backstory for that character. And it's so fun to get to see these mannequin people wobbling around, trying to go about their days. And I like the idea that it turns out he's not the one that gets screwed over by his actions, but everybody else is somehow changed. And we'll of course get to figure out why this happens, and he will be faced with the classic what do we do from here situation. And overall, the idea that this is the Twilight Zone with the mannequin people, that's a really, really fun idea. And I feel like it's a classic visual that they could have done on the original show. So yeah, I really did like this idea. So overall, the Twilight Zone issue 1 was pretty fun. I can definitely recommend it. And here's hoping that the rest of the book comes out just as good. Dark twist, fun visuals, black and white. It's got a lot of classic Twilight Zone stuff, and again, it didn't knock my socks off or anything, but it's one that I definitely enjoyed, I can definitely recommend, and we got 4 more of these things coming, so I'm pretty happy. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you, you really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more videos kind of like this, feel free to click right here and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.